Time to check out some highlights, and it all began back in practice 3 on Saturday. A big moment here for Brendan Strong, Kralsey.
Yeah, the Sydney side had a massive lose at the top of Dandenong Road. The run down the hill, the ex-Lansvale Racing Commodore tipped in, greasy circuit, lost the rear, made contact with the tyre bundle and went over a couple of times. Big accident. Amazing job from that team to get the car back on the racetrack for race 1. Later on in the weekend on Saturday afternoon. That race was won by Jack Perkins, Liam McAdam second. This is highlights from race 2 earlier on today, and it teed off early in turn 1, Matt Nolte.
Yeah, Michael Hector took to the grass down there in turn number 1, dropping a ton of positions. Liam McAdam fancied a shot down the inside of Matty Palmer. They banged doors. Palmer come back on and just held onto this position, but went back 2.
And how good Steve Brifford is taking advantage of that. Meanwhile, turn 1 was the action zone. It was all going on down there. Jake Kostecki off the road, Hector as well. And it was pretty frenetic stuff in the midfield here. Liam McAdam working his way through the field, still getting accustomed to launching these cars off the line. And in a sequence that lasted 3 corners, poor old Chris Delsma, sort of the innocent party there, got turned around at turn 3.
Massive lock-up down here would take out 3 cars, including the Leoncelli entry, the ex-Team Dynamic car. This one looked like on board. He's committed to the corner, then bang from nowhere, sends him off into the gravel. The
14-year-old Alex Rullo just missed his braking marker, it looks like, down there and got into the side. So massive drama. This was a great fight, though, for the Miners as McAdam continued his charge through. He got through on Steve Briffer and continued his charge to the back of Jim Policina.
Policina with plenty of DVS experience, but then this big moment coming up for Lyle Kearns, damaging the 57 machine.
Big dramas. It brought out the red flag at the end of the race. In the end, Jack Perkins made it 2 from 2. Let's hear from the winner.
I mean, I'm lucky to have a lot more experience than most of the guys here, so, really helping Liam get up to speed and, hoping that he gets right up next to me and knocks on my door, because that means we're teaching him the right things. But he's a great young talent. He's only 17. He's not allowed to drive a V8 on the road, and he's driving a V8 here out in the track, and he's doing a great job. So he's had a second and a third, which is a pretty fantastic effort for him.
Great results so far for the Eggleston Motorsport team. Great to see them, and indeed Matthew White Racing, THR Development, a couple of main game and development series teams running in the Kumho V8 Touring Car Series this year. We're getting set for the feature race, the final race of the opening round. Gee, it's been action-packed so far, Nutty.
Yeah, and the points determining the grid after the first 2 races. It's an all Eggleston Motorsport front row, and Jim Policina joining Steve Briffer on the second row. Watch for those guys.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, this could be Jack Perkins' biggest challenge yet, Matt, because Jim Policina, famous for being the best starter in Kumho V8 touring car history. Once passed 8 cars at Sydney Motorsport Park. Before turn 1, they're underway. Final race of the weekend. McAdam slow away. Briffer 2. Great start from Policina, and he's going with Perkins. And that long, fast run down to turn 1. Behind them, it's busy. Really busy. Smurden looking down the inside. And gets down Steve Briffer in the Poco Commodore.
So McAdam dropped back a bit here. He's behind Briffer. It's only 18 laps, but they're treating it like it's a definite sprint race. It was a frenetic start down to 1. So we go through this tricky section, this turn 2 and 3. We're on board with Leoncini now.
And we'll breathe a sigh of relief when they all get through here, through turn 4. And sort themselves out up the back straight, because turn 1 and 2 especially this weekend have been the hot spot at Sandown for the Kumho V8s. Everyone through, everyone clear, good start. Perkins in front, Policina second. What a start from Chris Smurden up to P3. And once again, McAdam struggling. These cars so different to launch than the Formula Fords that he's been used to racing. He was 7th in the National Formula Ford Series last year, but these things are a very different game. Having a great co-driver like Jack Perkins, a teammate this weekend, will do no end of good for Liam's learning experience. Here's a move down the inside.
Gee, the boys are at it early. Some very young guys in this field as they come through to complete lap 1 here at Sandown. Drag race here between Briffer as he heads down the main straight, this long straight. Back in the day, they used to have drag racing on this track.
This is a great fight. Young Jake Kostecki, the ex-Ryan Simpson, ex-Craig Lowndes, 888 Falcon, side by side, down into turn 1. That's a long way round there, and Steve Briffer does the job, muscles him out wide, and Liam McAdam just slotting in behind in this great fight. So this is for the Miners. Briffer off in a big way, straight across the grass there at turn 2 and 3. McAdam takes advantage as well. Kostecki was slowed up by Briffer rejoining the racetrack, and the Eggleston Motorsport Commodore went through.
Fairly slow motion off the track, wasn't it? Matty Palmer lines up the Kostecki car, the ex-Simpson car from last year. Another one of the drivers from the West. The Kostecki starting to make inroads in touring car racing in this country. Here's a replay of Briffa. He understeered, didn't it?
Big bat of understeer, but he also had a bright orange and silver Falcon alongside his driver's door there as well, which might not have helped the cause. The Poco Commodore racing feisty early in the Kumho season. They had a pretty good year last year, Steve Briffa. A few little mechanical dramas, couple of offs, dropped them back from where they probably expected to be, but we're looking forward to seeing the Poco team race at the front all season long. There's Policina, Chris Smurden, one of the most experienced drivers in Kumho V8 series history. And then this great little battle pack. Meanwhile, Jack Perkins is checked out in front of the field.
The crew behind Briffa, want to get past him soon because those guys, the first three, have cleared out this race here. Lap 3 of 18 as Palmer rides the curb and almost loses it. Kostecki tried to push his car down the inside, the Arco Plate sponsored car. So they head up to turn 4 in that big long run down the back straight here at Sandown.
How's this kid? 15 years of age. Just a few cars back is Alex Rullo, who's 14. They breed them young over there in the West, but they're getting plenty of experience and he's got plenty of speed. And he's working now on the ex-Brad Jones Racing Falcon that finished 3rd in the Kumho Series last year with Matt Palmer. He goes down the inside at one of the bravest, fastest points of the racetrack. The old rise in the back straight and gets it done. Awesome place to watch these cars work over there. McAdam on Briffa. And contact, and I think McAdam not going past probably helped his cause a little bit there.
Easily could have had 2 cars off the road here. Is that part of the circuit here that was adjusted about 10 years ago? McAdam, 2 bites of the cherry as they come on to complete lap number 3 and start the 4th.
These things are great to watch, aren't they? They're proper physical V8s. If you haven't seen the Kumho Series before, deregistered ex-V8 supercars, some of them still running their original liveries. Here's a move. McAdam gets it done at turn 1 in that big braking zone. A deceptively quick right-hander, left-hander I should say, at the end of the start-finish straight. I'll work out my rights from left eventually. Nutty, and that's Jason Leoncini off the road. Big off in turn 2. The former saloon car racer, fantastic year in the 6-cylinder saloon cars last year, stepped up into the V8s with THR Developments. That's an ex-Jason Richards car from Team Dynamic.
Yeah, great support from SA Racing Logistics on that car also as we're on the back straight here. Briffa still on McAdam here as they come through the corner. That claim Brendan Strong and of course Lyle Kearns just to the right here. This is a replay down the bottom.
Oh dear.
Very lucky, wasn't he?
Almost turned him round. Matt, here's another look at the back of the Poco Racing Commodore.
Oh.
There's the whack. Briffa catches it. And McAdam, whether it was lack of momentum or otherwise, decided not to carry on the move. And I'd suggest had he done that, he may well have got pinged. That was a clean move, half a lap later.
It's Leoncini going off the track.
Oh, got helped.
Yeah, it looks like he got helped here, didn't it? Just touches the wall down there on the inside of the final set of turns. Lap 5 of 18, this feature race of the Kumho Tyres V8 Touring Car Series here at Sandown, the opening round of the championship.
It's got a lot to live up to this year too, Matt, after last season's amazing title fight as Smurden goes down the inside of Policina, who's making a return to the series this year. Great move, executed nicely at Dandenong Road. To finish my point, last year Ryan Simpson won the first 3 rounds of the championship. The last 3 were run by Justin Rugia for Eggleston Motorsport. Less than 50 points between them at the end of the year. An amazing finale at Sydney Motorsport Park. Classic Holden v Ford touring car stuff. And so is this. Great move. And Smurden using all of his experience and just getting it down the inside under brakes. Here's McAdam. Another move at turn 1.
Picking them off one by one now, isn't he? Again, plenty of opposite lock going through the first set of turns. So he's past McAdam. He's past Policina. Now after the 39er, Chris Smurden, a veteran of touring car racing now. And the category probably suits him.
Yep. Won all 3 races at this venue in 2008 in the opening seasons of the Kumho V8 Touring Car Series. He's a former champion. One of only 3 drivers to clean sweep a Kumho round at this venue. Jack Perkins on the verge of doing that. The other 2, one of them a bloke named Steve Owen, so he goes okay. The other one, Josh Hunter, the grandson of the great Gary Rush, Speedway ace. And he raced in the Kumho Series in 2012. He won all 3 races. Oh, Briffa off at Danny Road. He's off the road. Contender for a strong top 5 spot. The Poco Commodore facing the wrong way.
Is he buried in far enough for a safety car, perhaps? We don't know whether he got assistance, but certainly very deep gravel down that part of the world.
And
just sitting on top.
Confirmation of the safety car. So doesn't look like he's at the point of being bogged, is he? Maybe no fire in that 5-litre engine under the bonnet of that bright yellow and blue Commodore.
And he'd be just fearing someone to come in there because it's such a unforgiving corner.
See the double wave yellows on the apex. There's so little runoff down there as well on driver's right on the entry of the corner. Here's a replay.
Oh, it's Kostecki. Did he give him a nudge?
Oh,
Survey
sure
says yes.
It's a bit more than a nudge as well. I wonder if it might have bent the rear axle housing in that car. That's why it hasn't moved too easily. Anyway, back underway. Just a brief safety car to get Briffer out the way. We're back to green flag. And Perkins, who had a massive lead before the safety car, has to do it all again. He's got Smyrna behind and his teammate now up to third place. Great comeback drive. And Delsma just a little bit wide at turn 1. The Blue Mountains driver upgrading into a later model car this year and doing a very good job.
Spices the whole thing up now. So head down into turn 4. It's Policina, followed by Palmer. You've got Kostecki ahead, but Perkins starting to stretch the legs of this car heading down the back straight, looking for a clean sweep this weekend at Sandown.
Driver James Courtney in the V8 Enduros later this year for the Holden Racing team. He said, I shouldn't be feeling pressure this weekend. I just need miles. I need racing laps, obviously out of a full-time drive this year. But he said, probably wouldn't want to lose to too much of these guys. No disrespect to them, but he's a main game driver. Running in the Kumho series, he'd want to perform. Fortunately, he's doing the job. Qualified on pole. Really difficult wet dry qualifying session on Saturday and broke the lap record by 3/10 in race 1, reset it in race 2, and he's been in great form. At the same time, what an awesome benchmark for these guys to have to see how close they can get to a guy that was running in the main game last year that qualified for the top 10 shootout for the Bathurst 1000 6 months ago.
Yeah, and I wonder how many other co-drivers might get a shot at this as the season goes on, this being the first round of the championship. There is the margin, so head down to the chicane section if you like. This used to be the old pit straight back in the 80s.
I spoke to Ben Eggleston and Rachel Wagg, the brains and brawn behind, no specific order, behind Eggleston Motorsport, of course, defending Development Series champions as well as winners in this series last year. They said we're really keen to get Jack in the car. Of course, Jack drove for them in the Development Series a couple of years ago to help Liam McAdams' learning process. And what better way to do it than put a main game driver in your lead car to have the data and the information and the one-on-one driver coaching for your rookie.
Oh.
He's doing a good job. That's a great move at Dandenong Road.
Albeit a bit cheeky, perhaps.
Nice.
Smyrna be going, hello, what's going on here?
I like it. Good
Gutsy pass.
Yeah.
Very good.
So it's now a 1-2 and Rullo and John Vagotis, the ex-Brad Jones racing car, dramas down at Dandenong Road. Here's a look.
He was late to commit, wasn't he? And he just pulled it up in time, not to spear off the track. This was Rollo going down the inside of Vagotis, the Performance West entry. Another one of the West Aussies here, and it didn't go to plan, did it?
He's certainly got to get his starts right, Liam McAdam, but there's no doubt he's very confident under brakes in these cars. And when you look at guys in the main game, even Marcus Ambrose, one of his big comments about driving these cars was a lack of confidence under brakes. It's so crucial to extracting speed out of these cars. You've got to brake deep into a corner, carry a lot of speed into the apex and really overslow the car before you can get them rotating, because they're big, heavy beasts and they're under-tired as we start the final lap. So really impressive that he can get these things stopped well enough to execute moves like that on Chris Smyrna, the guy that's been racing these cars for probably more than 20 years. I remember going out to Mallala as a kid and watching him as a South Australian privateer racing the factory drivers in the early days of the V8 era in touring car racing.
The IT Services Commodore,
Correct.
famous the yellow and blue one he raced.
Had Charlie Cox
Charlie
come out
Cox,
from the UK
yep.
to come and co-drive. We're on the final lap, the opening round of the Kumho series. It's been a belter. Numbers were down a little bit last year. They're back in force this season. It's going to be a great year. McAdam's second, but first of the guys doing the full season. Here's Matty Palmer looking for a move on Policina on the final lap. Can't do it. And Perkins has cleared out in front, Matt Nolte, and he's going to get the victory.
Clean sweep for the man who'll team up with James Courtney later this year. 3 race wins here in the opening round of the Kumho Touring Car Series for 2015 at Sandown Raceway. There was a gap in the end. It was a long way back. You're looking at nearly 11 seconds between first and second. There's the confirmation of the results.
1-2 for Eggleston Motorsport. Great performance from Smyrna and Policina back in the category third and fourth. Palmer, Hector, solid performances. Jason Heck in the ex-Frosty Winterbottom FPR car inside the top 10. But here is the round winner.
I mean, that last race was a bit harder than it looked, but the tyres were a bit older. They're the same tyres we used all weekend, but credit has to go to the team. Eggleston Motorsport gave us a car that made no mistakes all weekend, and to have Liam, our rookie teammate, in second was a great result. A 1-2 for the team and a fantastic effort.
Well, he leads the Kumho standings after the opening round. He's only due to do the first round of the series, but when he sees himself on top of the standings, Jack Perkins, I wonder if he miraculously might find the budget for round 2. McAdam second, Policina third, and Matt Palmer fourth, Matt Nolte, after a really entertaining weekend of racing. Perkins first, but the big story is the rookie. What a great performance by Liam McAdam.